Hey, welcome back. It's Gary Brown Forging On. It's after Christmas, actually the day after Christmas, and took a few days off of work. So I'm out in the shop, but I'm going to do a few things. So what's coming up in 2020 is I am looking at getting all these boards up. Let me show you. See all the rafters up there? And see those stacks of plywood there, and back here, and there's some more in the back. I probably need more, but I actually bought that box right there. Is one of those drywall lifts, and I'm going to do a video on unboxing that. I actually picked it up back. I tore my shoulder up, so I've had it over a year now. But I tore my shoulder up, but it was on a great sale. Anyway, so I was thinking the other day, it's like a little tidbit here, a little tidbit there that I can do. And I thought about doing some little short, let me know in the comments below what you think. I'm thinking about doing some short, little like tips, just a few minutes long. I mean, if it took a little more to explain it, 3 or 4 minutes long. I thought, like tips on Tuesday kind of went together. A lot of people are doing that. I know I don't want to think people are thinking I'm copying Peter McKinnon with this 2-minute Tuesday tech stuff, but he does. If you don't know Peter McKinnon's site, he does. He's got 3 or 4 million followers, and he does video, cinematography, just stuff about his life, whatever. And he does them every now and then. He'll do a 2-minute Tuesday or 2-minute tech. I forget what he calls it now. Man, I thought about doing like 2-minute tech Tuesday, and I thought that's too much like his. And it's not that big. It's just like a tip. And I think I'm going to just record a few tips and then post them out on Tuesdays. And it'll be something quick. And so, if they go, they go. If they don't, they don't. But I thought this way it'll be something short, simple. This is probably longer than the whole tip will take, just the intro of it. And then, for example, I'm going to be taking, here in January, this is end of December 2019. Starting in January, I'm taking a evening welding course. Even though I've welded for 35 years, maybe more, I don't know. It was in the mid 80s. I used to fix sinkholes in Florida. One of those weird jobs I had. And I learned how to weld on the job. They were supposed to teach me. We had a really good welder from Germany and another good welder that went. They're all formally trained, were really good at it. The guy from Germany, he actually taught me how to use a torch, and he was really good at doing that. And I thought about doing some torch work videos, but they always did the welding, and I was doing all the other stuff. And then I was also worked my way up to being a foreman. I was the only laborer for a while. I was the only employee other than the owners. And then they eventually started hiring more and more people. I went through, learn as much as I could from those guys, but they always went out and did the welding, and I did everything else. And so then they had to go. I was in Tampa at the time, and they had to go to a job down near Fort Lauderdale, and both of them were going. And I'm like, hey, who's going to teach me to weld? And up till then, I had worked at this other company for 6 months doing the same stuff, fixing sinkholes. It was ground modification, anything, seawall, sinkholes, anything. Most of our work was sinkholes. But, and I did a lot of hard facing. They had these huge things that hung from cranes that vibrated down into the ground, and they would raise them up and down with a crane and use them to pour in with, backfill with gravel or concrete or whatever they want to do, but it's compacted the soil for huge skyscrapers and stuff. And they had to hard face every square inch of those big monster. They were 10-foot lengths, but they'd put on 10, 20 foot of them. So you might have, 20 feet. They're probably 2-foot diameter, and we had to cover every square inch of them with hard facing. So I burned a lot of rods, but burning rods hard facing and welding is 2 different animals. So, those people were leaving. I've got a job to go to, and I'm like, who's going to weld? I said, I was the only one going to the job. I was the foreman, the laborer. I was everything, going to this house to fix it, and he had to do a lot of welding of pipe. Drive pipe in, weld another section on, drive it in, weld another section on, drive it in, just like that over and over again. And so they said, well, here, take this welding rod. This isn't a welding rod, but take this welding rod. You put it in there, kind of go like that, go around, see ya. That was my lesson. So 3 or 4 years later, I was doing a lot of welding and picked up more on the job, but I was never formally trained in it. And I've been welding. I worked at a welding shop when that place went out of business. I ended up working at a place at a welding shop. And so I learned a lot of different things welding. And I can weld, I know how to weld, MIG and stick, but if you said, why do I do this? I can't give you I can't give you an answer that somebody's been trained in it, can't. I get to say, I don't know, I just do it that way. That's the way I've learned to do it, and that's the way I do it forever. There's some little tricks that I've wanted to show on here, and that may be one of my tips, because I'm going to practice a lot of welding before I take this class. I'm going to get some stick welding out, and I may take some sheet metal. Don't have a piece lying around here, but I may take a piece of sheet metal, just cut it, and weld it together with stick rods, which usually it's hard to do. You usually use a MIG gun or TIG or something. But I used to do it with a welding rod with the flux broke off as a filler rod, and then strike my arc from a welding rod, and I'd actually strike it on the filler rod, and I'd work it into the puddle. And you might burn a hole, but you keep doing that, you can fill it back up, and you can actually weld up sheet metal with a stick rod. And little stuff like that, which they wouldn't teach you. They would tell you, just go use a MIG gun, don't do this. But, there's a lot of people like me that for years, after I left there, all I had was a gas-powered outdoor, it was on a trailer welding unit. And it was only stick, that's the only thing I had. And then recently I just bought a couple years ago, I bought this Lincoln MP210 that does stick and MIG. And so I've been using it. And when I was working in a welding shop, I did a lot of MIG, a lot of stick. I just never learned TIG welding. And so I'm going to take this evening course. They had this one of these Tennessee College of Applied Technology, and they have full 2-year courses to teach you to be a full-blown welder, which is great. I know some people have done that, and you can make great money at that. But I'm too old to be changing jobs and becoming a welder. So I just want to go learn, I suppose I want to learn TIG. And at the time, I may pick up some few, things about my stick welding and MIG welding. Maybe I can break some of these 35-year-old bad habits I've got. But I'm going to take this class and hopefully, when I understand, I can do some TIG, some stick and MIG welding. It's a evening welding class 1. I'm just taking it like an audit class. I don't care about no grade. And then, but I've heard they'll go into some TIG, and that you can actually work on whatever you want to work on more. So maybe I can do more TIG in this instead of having to wait and take the second one. Because these are semester-long classes. It starts in January and goes through April, twice and not 2 times a week in the evenings. So I don't know if I want to do 2 classes. I just want to learn TIG before I go buy a TIG machine. That's a long, drawn-out story. So some tips I picked up. These are the kind of ideas I'd have. And these are some real quick, simple tips, but I thought I would show you. This is one I learned a long time ago. This is tip number 1. So a lot of guys will bring these in to light their torches. Or, they just happen to smoke cigarettes or something. That's not so much today, but, this is back when I learned this was in the 80s, and a lot of people smoked back in those days. Anyway, so I use this around here, just a simple lighter, but I don't like using it. I don't like using it in a shop. I really don't like it. I can't keep this over to the side. Never ever weld. I wouldn't even blacksmith, but especially weld and cut with torches, and keep this in your shirt pocket. That is your first tip. Never, ever keep a plastic Bic thing. Never, ever keep these in your pocket. If you got to keep a lighter in your pocket, get you a Zippo metal lighter. Keep in your pocket. Why, you may ask, may not care. These are plastic. And if you've ever welded, and anything with torches, welding, anything, grinding, there's sparks, and there's little metal balls of, you know, pure metal slag from forging. There's metal this. Forging usually goes out and down, not in your top pocket. But this, it was explained to me back in the 80s, this is a blowtorch to burn your face off, okay? You got it in your top pocket, and it's down in there, and, you know, if you ever welded, I'm just going to tell you, you're going to get, if you're welding, it's always good to put ear protectors in, ear plugs in your ear, just because if you get going under something and you turn your head and there's splatter just bubbling off, all that stuff, and it hits you in the arms, and you know, you get to where you don't even feel it anymore. It's like getting little grease spots hitting you in your arm. It just, you know, you just get to where you don't even notice it. But one of those goes in your eye. That's why you wear safety glasses, which I don't have on right now. They're over on the counter. But you wear your safety glasses and put some earplugs in your ear. You don't know how many times I've had those little melting balls go down your ear, and you can hear it sizzling your ear canal out. Not fun. That's just not fun. So the same thing. One of those melted balls, spark, something goes in here, and if it burns its way, it's got to be, usually it's a welding ball, because sparks probably wouldn't last long enough. But if it goes in here and catches on fire, you've got fuel to burn, and it just, if it goes in the top, it'll just burn out the top, and if you have a flamethrower, just shoot up in your face. So do not use plastic big lighters if you're welding or anything. That's why I went out and got me one of these guys, just because I was doing welding in my shop. I've had it for 2 or 3 years now. And I even got another one. I inherited one of these, so I actually got 2 of them. The only downside to these is, you know, you have to keep refilling them. Pretty much I'll fill them up, and then I won't come out to my shop for a week or 2, and I got to fill them up again because they'll just evaporate. And there's apparently ways, you can go on YouTube and find out, there's ways to make your fuel last longer. But that's the first tip. Okay.